the kind of thing they like to get into. Is conducive to spreading diseases because they have to have more and more, because really what homosexuality and homosexual sex is an addiction.
For those of you who may not know her, Kathleen Saadat was a member of the No on 9 steering committee of the campaign to defeat Measure 9, and has been a leader, visionary, and trainer in the political and organizational life of the Portland gay and lesbian community, GLBT community, for many years. Please welcome Kathleen Saadat.
There was such a difference in the opinions of the people who were in leadership on the steering committee and the people who were actually out in the world walking to work or driving to work or having their trees cut down or their horses attacked in Southern Oregon. And it became all about just the winning of this campaign. And I understand how they got there. But what I want to bring to your attention is, by the time we were in the position of talking about winning a campaign, these people had been on the ground and working for years and years to get us to this place, to put it on the agenda, to require us to fight them, to stop them from taking away our rights. This is the lesson out of this experience. You can't stop. There's a Sweet Honey in the Rock song that goes, "We who believe in freedom cannot stop, cannot rest until it's done." What we must, and I think we have learned, just watching what's happening with Basic Rights Oregon and with Q Center, that we have to keep going. We can't stop. Voting is not enough. It is one step on the way to somewhere else. The law is not enough. It is the thing that gives you a path that you can walk on the way to somewhere else. And what we collectively have to decide is, where is that somewhere else we're going? What does it look like? That's the conversation we need to be having now. Now, 20 years after this fight, did we think we would be fighting a fight about rape? What happened? What happened? 20 years, we're not fighting, we're fighting a marriage fight. That's very different from fighting that repressive thing that happened with 9. But look at what's happening to women's rights. And what will it be 20 years from now? And 5 years after that? And 15 years after that? Get a clue. You got to do it all at the same time. We don't get to pick and choose. We don't get to say, my money only goes here. I don't know what the next years are going to look like after Tuesday. What I do know is that I need to make a list on Wednesday morning on what I need to do to get involved. And that list will depend upon who wins this election. But I need to make a list, no matter who wins this election. No matter who wins this election, we have to have an agenda. We have to know where we're going. And we have to know that we can't go there on single issue politics anymore. It won't work. We got what we needed out of single issue politics, which is strong identities and strong groups that can now come together and negotiate pathways to justice, to freedom, to equality. I think it's Scott Lively that's now in Uganda.
Yes.
That's behind the
gays.
movement to kill gay people. So, get a clue. 20 years later, it's an international fight. And if you're not paying attention to other parts of the world, whether you can do something there right now today or not, then you're not paying good enough attention. You gotta pay attention to the whole thing. Yeah, it's work. So, this experience for me was great, and it was also painful. I went home lots of nights and cried. It's one of the biggest ethical dilemmas that I've ever had, and I haven't talked about it a lot in public, but I'm going to talk about it right now. And was the dilemma between choosing whether to expose this committee as having really kind of a racist, strong bent, and thereby sell out this side of me that was trying to keep from being overwhelmed by the right, or to shut up and accept that. What I chose was to shut up, because I did get calls. I got calls from people in elected offices who said, can we trust this group? And I said yes. And 20 years later, I still wonder what would have happened if I'd said, no, they're racist. I don't want to make that choice again. I'm not going to make that choice again. It's not going to happen. If you believe that you shouldn't have to choose to hide a part of you, then you've got to extend that same privilege or right or whatever you want to call it to me and everybody else. And if we don't see, just like I work on letting other people understand what civil rights are, if we don't understand them as kind of universal in this country, at least that's what they're supposed to be, then all we do is recreate the problem over and over and over again. So I don't know how, if you believe in freedom for yourself, you aren't willing to advocate and respect freedom for other people. Now, one more thing. I'm developing a phrase called passive racism. And you can plug sexism, ageism, whatever ism you want to plug in there. And it's about people watching things happen that they know are wrong and not speaking up. Because that's where the law stops and you start. That's where voting is not enough. So I read Facebook, I get caught in that every once in a while, and I spend too much time on it. And I read people saying, well, I saw this thing, it was really awful. And I keep going, well, what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you say? You want this to change? You gotta speak up. You gotta speak up everywhere you can, and some days you can't. Go home and go to bed. It's okay. But everywhere you can, you gotta speak up. You gotta make sure that you're doing for the world what you want the world